Hello to all the lovers out there. Welcome to Thriving Relationships with Jessica Hartley. We are here live at the KHTS studio in beautiful downtown Santa Clarita every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. You can also join us on Facebook Live from anywhere in the world or download the KHTS app on your phone. I'm your host, Jessica Hartley, relationship coach and founder of the Legendary Love Program. And if you're like me, getting by just trying to make it work is not enough. You want nothing less than a thriving relationship to show up for, one that feels fun, passionate, deeply connected, respected, and solid. And you'll do what it takes to get it right so that you can enjoy the fullness of your life and grow old still holding the hand of your best friend. But the truth is that our marriage license does not come with any training for success, and divorce rates are still at 50%. And it breaks my heart to watch two people that were once so deeply in love struggle, go through all that pain, and end up breaking up the family they created together. But I'm here to tell you that relationship is only hard when you don't have a successful model to learn from. You don't have to settle for unhappiness. You don't have to throw in the towel or break up your family. And you don't have to wait for your partner to meet you halfway. There is a way to create a relationship that thrives, starting with you. As a visionary and a romantic, I have dedicated my life to identifying the most direct path to go from even the brink of divorce into a solid, thriving love life. I've been where you are, and I know how to turn it all around. So right now, my biggest intention is to share in all honesty who I am, to be your resource, to share the profound lessons, to give you clear direction, tools, feedback, exactly what you need to uplift your relationship today. And it's not the traditional approach. The Legendary Love Program is revolutionizing how we heal our relationships and set them up to last. It's a step-by-step course providing the most direct path to deep connection and establishing strong, lasting love. You could check it out for yourself at jessicahartley.com. From there, you can book a consultation or an assessment with me, or just send me an email. And you can always have the opportunity to reach out to me directly. You can call or send a text to 661-347-8473. I'm here to help. And today on our show, we're going to dissect why no one is talking about what's really going on with the song, Baby It's Cold Outside, and how this conflict relates to your relationship. My guest coming in from the phone lines today is Zinnia Usry, the beautiful wife, the deeply caring mother of three, and a super talented artist. Zinnia is also a past client of mine. She's completed the Legendary Love Program about 2 years ago, and she has a lot that she wants to share about it. Zinnia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks so much for having me on today. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you for sharing and showing up. So I just want to go ahead and start off by talking a little bit about the program and what your experience was in it. Do you want to tell me what your, here's a question that I get a lot actually is, what was for you the turning point where you knew that you needed to get some help? So when you were going along in your relationship and then at one point you realized that you needed to reach out. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was, I thought it was normal in our relationship. I didn't realize how dysfunctional it was. And it was when my partner came to me one day and he told me that he thought that we should get a divorce because the main thing he told me was that he could never make me happy. And that really shocked me. And I felt like that came out of nowhere, but it was really because I just had no sense of awareness of, again, the dysfunction that we had and my sense of self and not taking responsibility for what I was doing in the relationship. But I was so shocked, and I didn't know what to do, and I had heard about you and how you were a psychologist and that you were helping people with their relationships. So I called you, and I was in a panic, and I was crying, and I was like, my husband just told me this, and he told me that it's because he can't make me happy and because I do this and I do that. And I remember that you immediately calmed me down because you told me that, you know, anything that he was saying about me really didn't have to do, it didn't have anything to do with, like, my worth. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the thing that just really soothed me at the moment. And you told me that you could definitely, from our situation, see that if we worked on it, that we could either, one, heal whatever it was that we needed to heal and have a thriving relationship, or two, that if in the end we did all of the work, that at least we could end the relationship from a really loving and peaceful place for ourselves and for our children, because we had kids together at the time.
Yes, that's really key, because, you know, a lot of people, I think they come to me often when they're in that crisis point, and sometimes they feel like they have to already give up, you know, like, oh, well, my partner doesn't want to do the work, so then we're not going to survive, or we're not going to be able to do this, or what's the point of trying to seek help, you know? So in the process of the work that we do, you know, a lot of it is from the inside out. So whether or not your partner is on board, they don't have to be directly participating in what we're doing, because we start from what's going on with you and the energy that you've got inside of you, and how that is affecting your own reality and your own environment and your own relationship. And then what we do is we set you up to become the model for your partner. And you start reacting and being in the relationship in absolutely different ways, a way that is more grounded in who you really are. And it's this magical thing where the partner starts to clue into that and turn around and start to be interested. And so your energy directly affects the energy of the relationship. So that's where we start, and it's always for, on my side of it, very fun to start there, because you can see all the transitionings all happening while they're happening. But I also love how you remembered that I had said, you know, even if it didn't work out, you know, even if you guys still got a divorce, what this will do is create a conscious divorce. It will create a divorce or a separation in a way where you are able to be the most conscious and the most loving to each other, and not have all the baggage and resentment piling on top of it. And involving the children in that too is tough, because it's hard to be a child of divorced parents. I know firsthand, and there's a lot of things that you get from that, things that you perceive about who you are, and about what's really happening in the relationship, and so on and so forth. So to be able to, like, if it is going to happen that way, let's set it up to make it the most smoothest, easiest transition as possible. And not only that, Zinnia, I also want to add too, just for anyone who's listening or might feel like they're in those shoes right now, that it's also about healing the stuff that you have going on that attracted that kind of energy or that partner into your life. You know, so we're always bringing in our equal and opposite. And in order to uplift our relationship, if we are going to get a divorce and we are going to separate, you don't want to attract the same kind of person back into your life. A different face But the same problems eventually, as soon as the honeymoon's over, it always goes back to that. And so you'll see the same patterns replaying themselves unless you really go in and you heal and you change your energy that you have going on inside of your relationships, and allow that to attract the equal and opposite that is more of where you want to be, more grounded in the kind of person and relationship that is important to you. So thank you for sharing that, Zinnia. That's a really great perspective, I think. So the other question that I like to ask is, what were the most significant impacts that the Legendary Love program made on you? What were the biggest lessons that you learned that had the most impact on your relationship and on your life?
This is my favorite question because honestly, when I first had one of my first sessions with you, I thought, okay, so this is my opportunity to sit down with my husband, and we're going to talk to Jessica Hartley, and I'm going to complain about everything that he does wrong, and she's going to agree with me, and I'm finally going to be right. But that's actually not what happened, and that's a good thing. I actually, more than anything, just grew with an awareness of how much power I had over my experience. I learned that my emotions were my own, so whenever there was a conflict and I said I was angry, or he makes me sad, or he makes me feel this or feel that, I learned that those are my own emotions that are just triggering a painful past experience, and that it's my opportunity to look into that and heal that on my own. And that just gave me so much power because prior to working with you, I just had no sense of that. I just blamed everyone for my emotions, and that makes you feel a little bit out of control because then your life is, you blame everything that's happening in your life, and once you realize that, everything that's coming into your experience is for a reason, for you to grow, to learn, or heal something that you have inside of you, then you just feel so empowered because now I can go in with each experience, and if it's triggered, try to find out, well, what wound is this poking at, and then heal that. And then once I come from that space where I'm more centered, and I can go back to my partner and then do the relationship stuff. But it was always, always, always coming back to myself. Like, if I needed something from my partner, if I saw any lack, how could I give myself anything that I needed, or how could I heal those thoughts of lack that I had for myself? And then once I'm able to shift my perspective or heal that, then you come to your partner from a completely different place, and then the conflict can be dealt with from really a heart-centered place rather than reacting from your anger or your hurt or your pain. So that's always the thing that I've appreciated more than anything. And even like what we were talking about a moment ago is that even if we did end up in divorce or anything like that, just the work that I did on myself was so powerful. Whether or not I was still in the relationship or not, I just felt just so empowered, and I feel so grateful that I went through the program because I think a lot of people just don't have that sense of awareness at all. I think we're conditioned to blame others for our feelings and that they have to do something about our emotions, our negative emotions, and just having this awareness of any negative emotion that I feel is something that I take care of and I handle, and that I have the power to do that, and then seeing the results of, shifting from any pain that I have to healing that, and then having a peace and calm that I create for myself. It's the best feeling in the world, and I love that.
Yeah. One of the things that when people are asked, what do I really want in my life, and they really dial it down, the answer is often peace. I want peace. And that exactly what you just talked about is the path to that. Because the world is full of conflict and contrast and difference of opinion and different ways of doing things. And, you know, how you are while you go through the situation, the struggle, the conflict, the contrast, how you sit and reside within yourself while that is happening is the biggest difference to whether you're going to allow yourself to be pulled into drama and big emotion or negative emotion or peace, you know. And so being able, and then also just what you were saying is being able to react, be in control of your reactions. I mean, that is huge, because when we don't take that kind of control, it's our brain that's running the show. And so our brain is always going to look out for us and protect us from any threats. So if our brain feels a threat, it's going to go right into fight or flight, and we're either going to run away, which used to be my MO, by the way, or we're going to put up our dukes and start pointing arrows and start fighting. And then we put up walls and all these defenses, and now we have an all-out emotional war between ourselves and our partner. So absolutely, I'm so glad that that made a really big impact for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
The other one was that I had no awareness that my childhood wounds were affecting my present relationship with my husband. I had just thought, oh, I had a really rough childhood, and, you know, this and that happened to me, but I'm okay now. And not realizing that a lot of those experiences that I had as a child, I was recreating them, or they were happening in my experience again, really so that they can point to me that they needed to be healed. And a lot of the conflicts that we were having were because of that. So on one of the very first sessions, you know, we talked about what was like a conflict that we were having with my husband. And then by the end of it, when we dug really deep into, well, you know, when did you first start feeling that way when you were a child? And then I would talk about an experience that I had with my parent and how I felt at that time. And then, you know, I realized that I would internalize a lot of things as a child and hold on to those beliefs. And then I was acting out those beliefs in my relationship, and the person that I was, you know, pointing the arrows at was at my husband. And I just had no idea that it was affecting me. And I think it's just been so helpful now, because whenever, even now, if I get triggered by a conflict or anything like that, then I can sit with myself and really dig deep to find out what is it that I still need to heal. And for the most part, it's always an inner child wound that I have that I need to tend to, because it'll keep coming up for me in my present relationship if I just try to ignore it.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the most courageous places, I think, for any one person to be at, is to say, there's some responsibility inside of me for what's happening or what my partner's doing wrong, and to be able to find the place where we have responsibility. And usually that's where we're triggered about it, you know, the place where we are upset because of it. And there's this root wound that comes from, often it's our childhood, could be past relationships, but there's this root wound that, you know, where it started. And it's, you know, one of the things that I remember, as you said, you reminded me that when I went to start studying psychology, actually, I went in thinking, I'm fine. I don't have any issues. I'm level-headed. I'm good, you know. And lo and behold, you know, after the 3 years of that school, I just like attacked wound after wound after wound that I didn't even know was there. And, but I was able to identify and realize like where I was holding that inside of me, and how it was manifesting in my relationship, and how it was manifesting in not just my relationship, but other aspects of my life as well. So, so absolutely. I think that it's so important to just be open to, where our triggers are coming from, and to take some responsibility for that and to heal it. Because once we heal that, that's really where we set ourselves free. Because otherwise we're just hostage to these wounds and these previous conditioned thoughts that are ruling our well-being. So it really allows us to set ourselves free from that, and then to choose what we want to think and how we want to react to different situations. So, Zinnia, we're going to have to take a little bit of a break in a little minute. Did you want to just, is there anything else that you wanted to share so that we can sort of wrap up that topic before we end the break and go to the break?
Yeah, I actually still have 3 more that I would love to share. So when we get back from the break, or?
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do it when we get back from the break. Okay, that sounds great. Okay. So this is Thriving Relationships, and you're listening to Jessica Hartley, and we'll be right back.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
There are many memorable restaurants in Santa Clarita, but 3 words stand out from the crowd. Mom can cook.
Mamá puede cocinar.
Mom can cook the best Thai food on this side of the planet.
Mama fait la cuisine.
No matter what language you use, Mom Can Cook says it all. Thai food at its finest, all your favorite dishes, and Mom's very own original specialties. Experience it on Soledad by the Canyon Country Post Office.
Mama 요리가 좋으세요?
Mom Can Cook.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Helping Our Children Santa Clarita is excited to announce the first ever Christmas toy giveaway in Whoville, Saturday, December 22nd at Elevate Church in downtown Newhall, 24346 Main Street, from 4 to 7 p.m. Take your free photo with the Grinch and his sleigh. And our own KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220 will be providing the holiday music mix. Bring a child in need and join with our sponsors, the CHP, KHTS, Elevate Church, A Light of Hope, Escape Theater, and the Boys and Girls Club, SCV.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
Your hometown station.
As soon as I leave my house in Saugus, I always turn on KHTS for the latest traffic updates.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to Thriving Relationships with Jessica Hartley. This is Jessica Hartley, your host, and we were just talking about the Legendary Love Program. I have my guest, Zinnia Usry, on the line, and she was sharing with us her most significant impacts from the program that she took. So, Zinnia, where did we leave off? So you had 3 more things that you wanted to share, so go ahead. What were they?
Well, I'll share these last 2. They kind of tie in together. One was just self-love. I, again, had no sense of self-love or what that was. So coming to myself, so any needs that I have, first nurturing them for myself. The concept of you have to fill up your own cup first before you you can't pour from an empty cup, basically. And I just didn't have that concept, or even going into motherhood, that was really important for me to have, because I just wasn't nurturing myself. And then also and unconditional love. I think I was being very conditional with my love with my partner. You know, if he didn't behave in a certain way, then I would love withdrawal. And I didn't know that that's what I was doing. So just you bringing that into my awareness and showing me what actual unconditional love is, which is loving your partner despite their behavior, that was really important for me, and actually all across my relationships. Like, it went outside of just myself and my husband, but also I learned to love, you know, family members unconditionally, because I was being very conditional with my love. So those are like the last two things that I wanted to share.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for doing that. And so what we were going to talk about today is about this song, Baby It's Cold Outside. There is quite a little buzz going on around it, and it really struck me because there's more than meets the eye. You know, a lot of people hear the song, and there's two sides to this song. There's one side that's very offended and saying, why is this normalized? And then there's another side that's saying, just relax. They're flirting. It's fine. Be happy.
Yeah.
So, and I know, you know, so one of the things that, you know, I think that is important to point out is why people get offended in the first place and where that is coming from. Zinnia, you personally have a background in some of that kind of childhood experience. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think whenever you see something, maybe to some people where it doesn't seem like, oh, this is a big deal, when they're getting offended, I think that you are really saying that you're being triggered and that it's poking at a past wound that you have. So maybe to some people the song doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but for the person that is being triggered, they're revisiting that pain that they have. For me personally, I went through experiences of sexual abuse when I was a child, and you know, I think with having those kind of experiences, where, of course, when you're a child, you're not able to consent to things, and it's just a very painful thing to go through. And then as an adult, you still carry a lot of that pain with you, and where you see instances that songs are normalized, and they're very subtle, it can make it seem like this type of thing is okay. And so I think people that are saying that that there's something maybe wrong with the song, or it's just that it's triggering for them, they're just trying to say, like, they have pain and past experiences with either sexual abuse or assault or something like that, and they're just wanting other people to hear that these songs like this, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a song, if they're being triggered, they're just trying to show that they still have pain associated with this, and they want people to hear that, you know, whatever it is that their message is, which is that, you know, what is consent and what is okay and what's not okay with that. And I think this is an example of, you know, people saying that if they're offended by it or triggered by it, that's mainly what they're trying to say is, hey, I had an experience in my past, and this is very painful, and this song is showing us something, you know, it's trying to show us that there's something here that needs to change.
Yeah, you know, so what the conversation I think that we would be having if we were a little bit more aware and could step out of the smaller picture of it is to see that, like you said, when someone is offended and is reacting out of anger or pain or hurt, or, you know, however it is that they do their fight or flight, it means that there's a wound inside of them. And usually the first place that they go to is anger. Usually they don't usually just hop right to crying. Sometimes they do, but usually they hop to anger, and they're mad, and they need to stand up for themselves. And which is very important, I want to say too. It's not something to just to act as if it's not important for them to go through, or that they're overreacting, or whatever it is. It's them showing their own process of wanting to actually heal that. So if they're able to stand up to the song, for example, and say, hey, this isn't right. The song is suggesting, not, a woman who doesn't want to give consent, and then, he's pushing it, and, all this stuff. And then it's them standing up for themselves, which is really the first step. And once we allow them the space to take that first step, then they can move into maybe some of the pain that they felt from their own experience. And then from there, they'll move into releasing that pain and move beyond it. So it's funny because a lot of times we, let's say that the other side, so I think, Zinnia, I don't know, let's just pretend that for the example of this song, that maybe you were wounded by the song, and so you wanted to stand up for it. And I know that you're beyond that right now, but I want to just use it as an example. And I was the one that was sort of saying, oh, it's fine, it's just a song. If for me to say, oh, it's fine, it's just a song, leave it alone, creates even more anger inside of you, because it makes you feel like you're not being validated, which is more of the same feeling that started that wound in the first place. So we're really not allowing you to have the space to heal that. So if I am on the other side of a situation where there's a conflict. And the reason I bring this up is because this relates to conflict in a relationship. This is the perfect example of how when our spouse, be it a male or female, is offended or hurt or angered by something that we did, or something that happened in their life, or something that we didn't do. This is how we need to be able to perceive what's really going on and how to react to it. See, because if we just fluff it off as they're being overreacting or whatever it is, we don't give them the space to be validated. We don't give them the space to be heard. We don't give them the ability to process through those emotions. Now, I also want to say that there are good ways, or I don't like to say good and bad, but I feel like there are definitely more effective ways to process those emotions, and there are ineffective ways. So there are ways where they could go to the extreme and also wreak more havoc, in the world, because they're now like going to the extreme over here. They're, we're victimized over here, and now they're really making victims of other people, over here because of it, which is something I think, without getting too political, is a little bit what happened, with some of our political stuff in the past. And, sort of on the same topic there, of where it just really, now it's ruining other people's lives, whether or not we know it's true, So there are extremes on both sides, so, but like you were saying, it's important for them to, it's important for both of us to understand what's really going on and how to best move through that and how to best hold space. So what would you say would be the most important things, Zinnia, for someone that was more aware of what's going on to be able to hold space for someone that would have been in your shoes?
Well, first I want to say that also on the other side, people that are saying, that they really don't think anything's wrong with the song, they're also being triggered because they feel like they're being judged. Like, oh,
yeah.
there's this song that I don't really think there's anything wrong with, and now someone's telling me that, I can't listen to it, or I'm a bad person if I listen to it, or whatever. And so on both ends, I think people are being triggered. And
that's absolutely right.
So I think that I wish that when people heard the word offended, they really saw that what that means is this person is being triggered by a wound that they have. And I think that seeing it that way makes it so that you can have more empathy and more compassion, and then you're opening to listening to what they're actually trying to say beyond the anger, because you're right, like we always kind of go to anger first because it makes us feel like we have more power and it makes us want to act upon it. But underneath the anger is usually sadness or pain. So I think that if we just, when we see the word offended or we say that, we could just think this person is triggered and they have a wound, then you're able to see more of what they're trying to say. And then also just want to say that, again, the people on the other side, they're feeling, defensive and saying, oh, you're overly sensitive, or, this argument is dumb or whatever. And it's because they're putting their walls up because they're feeling that they're judged as well. So I think that there can be just empathy and compassion on both ends. And I've had a conversation with someone where, they were saying that this whole argument was silly. And I was like, really, I have no opinion on the song, but I could definitely see that if someone went through a past experience that was very painful and they went through sexual abuse or assault, and if they interpreted this song to mean something that relates to that, then that would be very triggering. And imagine listening to that song every day on the radio, and that comes up for you, that pain comes up for you. I just wanted to say, like, I could see how that could happen for that person, and I could see how on the other side people feel like they're being judged. So none of those feelings feel great, and I think that that's like where a lot of the conflict is. And so I just wish that we could see each other with just more empathy and more compassion and really listen to what we're trying to say to each other, which is, the people that are being triggered by this, they're saying, hey, there's an issue with this, and, really paying attention to that versus the anger and then judging, their reaction to that song or their pain that they're having.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I love how you mentioned the other side, because you're right. It's like when one person is saying, hey, I'm hurt and I'm angry about this, and so now I'm reacting, the other person usually takes that very personally, and that's the second wound, so there's the first one that sort of initiated it, and now you have a second one. And this is exactly what plays out in conflict between, spouse in relationship, or, two partners. And it's like, well, this is my issue, and so I'm mad, and then the other one gets mad that they're mad, and makes, and because they're feeling judged, because now they have a wound too that's being triggered, and that wound is somewhere around, I never do anything right, or there's always a problem, or, and this is something that they probably picked up early on in their childhood, that I'm never good enough, or, maybe they had parents that were always, or that they perceived were often unhappy and looking at the world in a negative way, and so they're tired of it, so now they start reacting to that too, and so, I think that what we might be able to offer is, obviously this bigger perspective, but also now, okay, well, what do we do then? So if there are obviously some wounds that are here, what are the best ways to respond to it? Do you want to add to that before I do?
Well, I think if like, for example, if you're the person that you listen to the song and then you find it offensive or you're triggered by it, then that's showing you where you have a place that still needs healing. And then I think we were talking about, validation, where, people dismissing someone that's saying that they're hurt as like, oh, you're just overly sensitive or, whatever. At the same time, even though the other side, you're not being validated, there's always a place where you can validate yourself. So that's the other thing. Validation has to first come from within, and then when you come from that place of healing and giving yourself your own validation, then when you speak to other people about where there are issues with songs or anything really, people receive it differently, and then they're not triggered because then they're not feeling judged and you're coming to it from a different energy. And I can also see, like, where you were saying that this happens with relationships, like if a spouse gets hurt, and then your partner dismisses it as like, oh, you're just overreacting, oh, you're just overly sensitive. That's really hurtful because then you feel like you're not being validated. But at the same time, you have to take responsibility for your own wound and heal that yourself and then validate yourself. And then from that place, you can communicate to your partner, and it makes a big difference. Yeah. Because then you're coming from such a more neutral place, a more loving, heart-centered space, and they're more open to listening because then they're not feeling judged.
Right. And, there's a journey, I think, to being able to get to that place where you can self-validate. It's not the easiest place to get to because often you need it from the outside. Otherwise, you don't believe it. In part, that's because of our conditioning. But you're absolutely right. But sometimes, if on the other side of that, if we are the partner that's witnessing, or the person that's witnessing someone offended to this song, or we're witnessing someone offended to something in our relationship or a friend or whatever, there's also the other side of that. I could choose first to not take it personally and see it for what it really is and say, oh, they have a wound here that they're working through. Second is that I could offer some empathy and validation for them to help them in their journey. Now, it's absolutely not my responsibility to save or heal them. However, if I wanted to be of assistance and I wanted to share love or hugs or compassion, then that is exactly what I could do. So we are going to go ahead and take our second break, and I'll see you on the other side.
There's a classic diner in town that combines old-fashioned dining with a hip 21st century menu. They call it trendy nostalgia. They call it Kathy's Deli. Kathy's Deli is a classic diner. Homemade jams, freshly baked breads, and even unique flavored coffee creamers made on site. Experience the fresh, new, yet old-fashioned taste of your local hometown diner. Serving traditional and unique breakfast and lunch delights every day from 7 to 3. Kathy's Deli on Lyons Avenue off Wayman Court.
There's no need to travel to France when Le Chien is here.
That's Juan Alonso, owner of Le Chien Restaurant.
Enjoy Le Chien award-winning wine list full of treasures of French and California wines.
All at a reasonable price. Le Chien, the perfect setting for that special occasion or any occasion, business functions or weddings.
Experience the fine arts of dining at Le Chien.
Enjoy a fabulous meal at Le Chien on Sierra Highway, exactly 7 miles north of Soledad. info@lechien.com.
We host a lot of company events.
KHTS owner Jerry Cerati Golden.
My first call is always to AV Party Rentals.
AV Party Rentals has everything you need for your company party. Visit their large and beautiful showroom in Newhall and discover how AV Party Rentals can create that extra accent for your company party. No worrying, no stress during setup because their delivery staff is friendly, efficient, and willing to go that extra step to make things easier. On Newhall Avenue and Carl Court, or plan your party online at avparty.com.
Hey guys, this is Cardinellis, host of the new show, Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the latest political happenings, both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we have both Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians hash out their differences on air as we strive to find solutions to today's challenges. Join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for Problem Solver Politics.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to Thriving Relationships with Jessica Hartley. I'm your host, Jessica Hartley, and I have Zinnia Usry on the line. And we have been discussing all about this song, Baby, It's Cold Outside, and what's really going on and what we can do about it and how it relates to our relationships. So just a little recap, we were talking about how this song has a lot more to do with a wound that someone has, and how it's our opportunity to either, if we're the one with that wound and is feeling offended, it's our opportunity to go in and heal it, to address it, and to give ourselves the validation that we need rather than sort of demanding it from the world. And then the other side of it is that if we're the other person in that situation or conflict and we see someone offended, whether it's in our relationship or whatever it is, that it's our opportunity, instead of taking it personally and joining the club of offense and being feeling judged and igniting our own wounds, we can instead choose to have a bigger perspective where we are not taking it personally, and we can see it with compassion. We can see that they have a wound or some pain that they need to process, and that we can give them the space to vent, we can offer them empathy and validation. Maybe it's just a listening ear, and that is going to be the most powerful way that we can actually help to uplift the conflicts and the contrasts that we're surrounded by in our world. Zinnia, did you have any other closing thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think what that reminds me of, like when someone it's basically in relationship when your partner is holding space for you, where they're allowing you to feel your emotions and not reacting to them and not taking them personally, but just being there and holding space. And for me personally, that's the best feeling in the world, where I'm allowed to feel my feelings and my partner can just hold space for me. It makes me feel loved unconditionally, because I can be myself, I can have all of my human emotions, and my partner won't judge me for, being overly sensitive, because that was something that, I was judged for a lot as a child, and I really appreciate when I'm allowed to just feel all of my emotions and I'm not being judged for it, and my partner can hold space for me. And that's something that I've been learning to do, and I try to do with my partner and other people as well. When people are hurt, they really just want somebody to listen and just hold space for them. So I think this is another example of where we can do that for each other, on people online, on social media, and all around us. When we hear that, they're being triggered, we can hold space for them.
And also, I also want to say that it's not, there's this fine line between holding space and letting them emote, but then doing it in a way where there's also self-honor, because sometimes, like we said, they take it to the extreme because they've so far felt so victimized, and so now they're standing up for themselves so strongly. So there is also a way that we can help bring compassion, bring that listening ear, bring that empathy, but also to sort of stand up either for ourselves or for others, So sometimes if let's say that they're being a bully to someone else because of it, or attacking someone else irrationally, which is something that we do when we go into fight or flight. We're fighting and we're not really connected to our rational thinking, is that we can, as empathetically and compassionately as possible, we can say, hey, you know what? Let me validate, whatever this is. Like, hey, yeah, you're right. It's not okay to push past, when someone says no, or you're right. This is not the best way to go about it, or, whatever it is. But hey, you don't have to attack this person either. You can instead, just, speak your voice and do it from a place where you can be heard without attacking. So I think also it's important to stand up for those that are also being the new victim of the attack, of this crazy spiral of things that are happening all over the place. So, Zinnia, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your love, and for sharing these beautiful insights and all of your lessons that you learned from the legendary Love program. It's really been a joy to have you on the show. And to everyone else out there, wherever you are at in your journey of love, there is no better gift than the gift of strong, lasting love. So for the month of January, I am going to be offering a special $1,000 savings on either of my 5-month programs. And this offer is going to only go out to the first 10 clients that take advantage of this savings. So if you're interested in finding out more, all you need to do is go to www.jessicahartley.com/program to book a consultation with me today. You'll find some information there to read, to watch, and then a link to go ahead and go into my schedule, into my calendar, and book an appointment with me. And you can also just send me an email if you want to ask me any questions or get the ball rolling in that sense. So make sure that when we do start talking, that you mention that you heard about this offer on KHTS, and we will go from there. So thank you so much, everyone. I want to wish you all a very, very Merry, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays with your spouse. Enjoy the holidays with your kids and all your loved ones, and do the best that you can to be grounded in the love that you are. See you next time.